Welcome to the Nordic Venture Show, your speed date with the hottest Nordic innovations and ventures. In this episode, our venture date is with Cactos, battery energy storage system.
It seems like every business out there and public organization too is kind of wrestling with this same energy puzzle.
Yeah.
Prices are all over the place.
Yeah, they are.
Demand charges can be a real shock, and then there's this whole push to not only be less reliant on the grid,
Right.
but to actually, really use renewables effectively. It's a tough balancing act for sure.
It is a tough balancing act, trying to figure out how to make all those things work for your organization.
Exactly. And that's where our deep dive today takes us. We're going to be looking at a technology that's that's getting a lot of attention as a potential solution.
Yep.
Battery energy storage systems.
Yep.
And specifically, we're going to be looking at a company called Cactos.
Cactos.
And what they're doing in this space.
Yeah. So for your listeners, Cactos is a Finnish company. They've been kind of making waves by designing and building smart battery storage systems right there in Finland. And I think what's particularly interesting is their focus on solutions tailored for commercial and public properties.
Yeah, that's a key point because, we hear a lot about residential battery storage.
Exactly.
But this is really targeted.
Yeah, this is a different animal.
At a different level, yeah. So our mission, I guess, in this deep dive is to really understand how Cactos helps organizations tackle those energy challenges that we just mentioned. How does it actually translate into savings? How does it improve energy efficiency? And how does it help organizations make sense of their energy use?
Yeah.
We're drawing all of our insights here directly from information that's available on the Cactos website.
Okay.
So let's jump in. Let's start with the core benefits.
Right.
Okay, so the first big one seems to be is shifting consumption to save money.
Yes.
How does Cactos actually pull that off?
So what's so fascinating about this is it's a very elegant core idea.
Okay.
Electricity prices, aren't constant.
Yeah.
They go up and down depending on demand and other factors.
Right.
What Cactos systems do is they intelligently charge their batteries when electricity prices are at their lowest, so often during those off-peak hours.
Okay.
And then when prices climb, typically when everyone is using more energy, they can release that stored energy to power your operations.
So you're essentially using cheaper stored energy.
Exactly.
Instead of having to buy expensive energy from the grid when you need it most.
Yeah, and this is a really, this simple principle, when aggregated across many users, really has the potential to significantly flatten the overall demand curve on the grid.
Wow.
Which would reduce the need for these really expensive and often efficient peak power plants.
Yeah, you don't want to be using those peaker plants if you don't have to.
No, you don't.
Right. Okay, so it's essentially capitalizing on the price differences.
That's right.
Throughout the day.
Exactly.
Buy low, use high makes perfect sense for the bottom line.
Yeah.
Another key benefit that they talk about is cutting demand charges.
Okay.
I know a lot of businesses get hit hard by these.
Yeah.
Can you explain how Cactos helps reduce them?
Sure. So this brings up a really important point about how commercial customers are charged by utilities.
Okay.
Beyond the basic cost per kilowatt hour that you use, there are often demand charges.
Right.
And these aren't based on your total consumption.
Got it.
But on the single highest amount of power that your facility pulls from the grid at any one moment during the billing cycle.
Oh.
And these brief periods of peak demand can lead to surprisingly high charges.
Interesting.
What Cactos does is it's like a shock absorber almost.
Okay.
By using stored energy to supplement that grid power during those moments of high demand, the overall peak draw from the grid is reduced.
So it smooths it out.
It smooths it out, exactly. And that lower peak directly translates to lower demand charges on your monthly bill.
That's fantastic.
It's like having a reserve that you can tap into just when you need it most.
Yeah, so it's not just about the total amount of energy used, but also when you use it.
That's right.
And how much you're drawing at any given time.
That's right.
Fascinating. They also mentioned boosting peak power capacity.
Okay.
So when might a business find itself needing more power than their existing grid connection can handle?
So think about a scenario where a business has occasional needs for a significant amount of power for a short period.
Okay.
Maybe it's a manufacturing plant that needs to run, several high-powered machines simultaneously for a specific task.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's a site with a growing number of EV charging stations.
Yeah.
All being used at once during peak hours.
That's a good point.
Their existing grid connection might simply not be designed to handle these temporary surges. And upgrading that connection can be incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
And time-consuming.
You're talking major infrastructure.
Major infrastructure, yeah.
Yeah.
What Cactos offers is a much more flexible and cost-effective solution.
Okay.
So by providing that extra burst of power from its stored energy businesses, can meet those higher peak loads without having to make that substantial investment in upgrading their grid infrastructure.
So it's almost like a way to sidestep
It is.
those huge infrastructure costs.
Yeah, it's a really ingenious way around that.
That's fantastic. Now, for those of you listening who might have already invested in renewable energy sources, things like solar or wind, how does Cactos help you really maximize the value of that clean energy that you're generating?
So this is where Cactos can be a real game changer when it comes to energy independence and getting the most out of your renewable energy investment.
Okay.
If you have solar panels, for instance, you're likely generating the most power during the day.
Right.
But your energy usage might actually peak, in the evening when everyone comes home and turns everything on.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
And without a storage solution, you might end up selling that excess solar energy back to the grid.
Yeah.
Often at rates that aren't as good as what you pay to buy electricity.
Yeah, you're not getting top dollar for it.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
And so what Cactos does is it acts as your on-site energy manager.
Okay.
It stores that self-generated energy and then allows you to use it whenever you need it.
Right.
Regardless of when it was produced.
So it's about aligning your clean energy generation with your actual needs.
That's right.
And then maximizing the economic benefit.
Exactly.
So you have control over your own green energy. It's not just about using it when the sun is shining or the wind is blowing, but saving it for when it's most useful or most profitable.
Right.
Now, the Cactos Cardo model is specifically mentioned as a way to ensure you stay powered during outages. In today's world, that sounds like a really critical benefit.
Yeah, it is a critical benefit. Power outages can lead to significant disruptions and financial losses.
Yeah.
For businesses of all sizes.
Yeah.
And the Cactos Cardo model is specifically designed to act as an uninterruptible power supply or a UPS.
Okay.
So if the grid goes down for any reason, the system seamlessly and automatically kicks in and provides that backup power to keep essential operations running.
So for some businesses,
right,
this is, mission critical.
It is mission critical. Yeah, think about data centers, hospitals, or even just companies that rely heavily on continuous internet access.
Right.
This isn't just a matter of convenience. It can be crucial for preventing significant financial damage or even, addressing critical safety concerns.
So it's more than just a battery backup. It's an insurance policy against power disruptions.
It is.
And then there's this really interesting idea of turning energy into extra income by participating in what are called ancillary service markets.
Right.
How does that actually work?
So this ties into the overall stability of the electricity grid.
Okay.
Utility companies need to constantly maintain a very delicate balance between the amount of electricity being generated and the amount being consumed. And ancillary services are essentially tools that they use to help manage this balance.
Okay.
So these can include things like frequency regulation, keeping the grid frequency stable,
right,
and reactive power support.
Okay.
Because a Cactos system can very quickly inject power into the grid or absorb it.
Right.
It can participate in these markets.
Wow.
And the really clever part is that this participation can often be automated through their software.
Okay.
Allowing Cactos users to earn revenue simply by making their stored energy capacity available to support the grid.
It's like you're getting paid to be a good grid citizen.
You are getting paid to be a good grid citizen.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so those are some really compelling benefits.
Yeah, they are.
Some interesting implications there.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears for a moment and talk about the technology behind all of this.
Okay.
Cactos emphasizes that their systems are designed and built right there in Finland.
Yeah.
What's the significance of that?
I think there's a couple of important aspects to consider. Firstly, Finland has a strong reputation for technological innovation and high engineering standards.
Right.
So designing and building the systems there likely reflects a commitment to quality and rigorous testing. Sure. Secondly, it suggests a greater level of control over that entire manufacturing process.
Right.
From the selection of high-performance lithium-ion batteries all the way to the development and implementation of their smart software.
Right. They're not sourcing this from 10 different countries all over the place.
Exactly.
They also highlight that the system operates quietly.
Right.
And automatically optimizes energy use. This points to, a user-friendly design that minimizes the need for manual intervention.
Yeah, and that's a big deal because, most businesses have enough on their plate.
They don't need another thing to fiddle with.
They don't need another thing to fiddle with, exactly.
So it's not a system that requires constant monitoring and tweaking. It's designed to learn and adapt on its own.
Exactly.
That sounds like a huge advantage.
Yeah, it is a huge advantage.
For organizations that are already dealing with so many other things, now we know Cactos is geared towards commercial and public properties.
Right.
But can you give us a better sense of the actual range of industries and organizations that can truly benefit? Absolutely.
So what seems to be a real strength of their system is this adaptability to a wide range of needs.
Okay.
And they specifically mention a diverse set of think about logistics centers, which often have very significant energy demands for warehousing transportation, even refrigerated storage farms.
Yeah.
Which might need consistent power for everything from irrigation to climate control for livestock or crops. Factories with energy-intensive machinery, service stations that are now installing rapid EV charging infrastructure.
Oh, that's a good one.
And even apartment buildings.
Yeah.
Looking for ways to manage, communal energy costs more effectively.
Right.
It really underscores the fact that efficient energy management is a critical concern across, a huge variety of business types and sizes.
Yeah, it's not just for the massive industrial complexes.
No, it's not.
Even smaller businesses with specific energy challenges can find significant value.
They can.
It's not a one-size-fits-all solution, but it's got broad applicability.
It does. It does.
Now, Cactos highlights a couple of specific customer success stories.
Okay.
Let's start with Blocks.
Blocks.
What were the key energy challenges that they were facing, and how did Cactos help them overcome those?
Yeah, so from what we can gather, Blocks, like many businesses, was experiencing significant disruptions.
Okay.
And incurring, considerable costs due to power outages.
Right. And that's a vulnerability for so many organizations.
It is a major vulnerability.
Yeah.
And by implementing a Cactos energy storage system, they gained a reliable and immediate backup power solution. So that ensured that their critical operations could continue without interruption, even when the grid went down.
Right.
They also had the added benefit of being able to store the solar energy generated by their own solar panels.
Okay.
And then use that stored energy later, including during the night when their panels weren't producing.
So they're getting more out of their solar investment.
Exactly. And this not only increased their energy independence, but it also led to direct and tangible cost savings.
And they even include a quote from Arto Maninen, the CEO of Blocks Oy, who rated their experience a solid 10.
He did.
He specifically points out the money-saving aspect of being able to use their stored solar energy during nighttime hours. That's a pretty powerful testimonial.
That is a powerful testimonial.
What about the other example that they provide, the Helsinki City Housing Company? Okay.
What were their primary needs?
So for the Helsinki City Housing Company, their priorities were somewhat different, but equally important for their residents.
Yeah.
They were looking for a solution that could provide reliable emergency power to their housing units, automatically optimize their overall energy consumption to help keep costs down for the people living there, and maximize the benefits of any local renewable energy generation they might have implemented or were planning to implement. And Jenny Venelainen, their project manager, stated that they were looking forward to continuing their work with Cactos. Which suggests that the initial results and the anticipated ongoing benefits were meeting their expectations.
So we see different primary drivers there.
Yeah.
For Blocks, it was about reliability.
That's right.
Maximizing their solar investment, whereas for the housing company, it was more about resilience for their residents. Overall efficiency. And leveraging local generation.
That really underscores the versatility and adaptability of the Cactos system to address different priorities now. Looking at some of the recent news and developments surrounding Cactos, it seems like they're in a period of significant growth and innovation.
They are.
Yeah.
What stands out to you from these recent announcements?
Well, I think several things are quite noteworthy. Their innovative approach of utilizing repurposed Tesla batteries within their energy storage systems is particularly interesting.
That's a great angle.
From a sustainability perspective, it's essentially giving a second life to these high-value components, which is a smart and environmentally conscious move.
Absolutely. The fact that they've successfully raised substantial funding, initially 2.5 million euros, and then a much larger round of over 26 million euros, clearly indicates a strong level of confidence from investors.
Yeah, they're putting money where their mouth is.
On this technology and its potential for significant market growth.
Yeah, and it's not just, European investors. The fact that a U.S. fund is now investing indicates kind of a broadening global recognition of Cactos' potential.
Yeah, they're not just a regional player. They're going global.
That kind of investment certainly sends a strong signal about their future prospects.
Yeah.
And there are also some specific projects and expansions happening, right?
Yeah, there are the announcement of Rando Grid launching a smart energy storage facility in Kumoinen, which will be delivered and operated by Cactos, is a really significant step. It demonstrates their capability to handle larger-scale, grid-connected energy storage projects.
Yeah, so they're not just doing these small installations.
They're not.
They're really scaling up.
They're scaling up.
The opening of their new R&D and production center in Kempel. Along with the unveiling of their next-generation product line, clearly signals their ongoing commitment to innovation.
Yeah, they're not resting on their laurels.
Yeah.
They're continuing to push the envelope.
And their plans to scale up their operations to meet growing demand.
Yeah.
Their collaboration with Hold. To specifically focus on developing robust cybersecurity solutions for the energy sector is also a critical development.
It is.
Especially as energy infrastructure becomes increasingly interconnected.
Yeah.
And therefore, more vulnerable to cyber threats.
Exactly. And then finally, the deal with Logistics, the leading Finnish logistics company, to optimize their carbon neutral logistics operations really brings it all together. Showing how Cactos' solutions are being applied in very practical ways to help businesses achieve their sustainability goals.
So it's not just, talk, it's actually being implemented.
Exactly. It's not just theoretical.
In the real world. It really paints a picture of a company that's not just offering a product, but is actively involved in shaping the future.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to put it.
Of how businesses manage and use energy. Now, to really consolidate our understanding, Cactos themselves summarize the key usage benefits of their systems. Can we quickly recap those?
Sure.
Based on what they highlight?
We can do that, absolutely. So they emphasize 4 core benefits, all of which are intelligently managed and automated by their proprietary Cactos Spine software.
Cactos Spine, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the first is smart shifting.
Smart shifting.
Which is the core concept of charging the batteries when electricity prices are low. And then discharging that stored energy when prices are high.
Buy low, sell high, or use high.
Exactly. And this is particularly beneficial for businesses with significant energy consumption during typical daytime operating hours.
Makes sense. The second is storing energy.
Storing energy.
Which, as we discussed, allows for the optimal use of locally generated renewable energy. Whenever it's needed, not just when it's produced.
Exactly.
The third is backup power.
Backup power.
Where the system uses AI to anticipate potential power outages and ensure a seamless and uninterrupted electricity supply to critical operations.
That's right. It's like having a crystal ball almost.
Yeah.
That can predict when the power is going to go out.
And the fourth is peak shaving.
Peak shaving.
The process of automatically leveling out those peaks in electricity consumption to avoid incurring those high demand charges.
So you're not getting hit with those.
From the utility company.
Huge demand charges.
And so their proprietary Cactos Spine software acts as the brain.
It does.
Of the system, using algorithms and data analysis to predict energy prices, optimize charging and discharging schedules, and even participate in grid services. without requiring user input.
Without the user having to do anything.
So it's this really powerful combination of
It is.
potential cost savings, the ability to really maximize the use of renewable energy and the added security.
Of enhanced reliability,
Yeah.
all being managed intelligently behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So it's about making energy usage smarter,
It is.
more efficient,
Okay.
more resilient, without requiring constant manual oversight.
Exactly. It takes a lot of that work off your shoulders. Or intervention.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a truly insightful deep dive
Yeah.
into Cactos and the world of battery energy storage solutions that they provide.
Yeah.
It seems quite evident that they are addressing some really critical challenges
They are.
that businesses and public organizations are facing
Yeah.
in today's, evolving energy landscape.
Absolutely. It's a rapidly changing landscape, and they're right there on the cutting edge of it.
I agree completely. They offer a very compelling solution
I think so, too.
for organizations that are looking to not only save money on their energy bills,
Right.
but also increase their energy independence
Right.
by effectively leveraging renewable energy sources and ensuring a more reliable and stable power supply. Absolutely.
The real-world examples from their customers and the recent news surrounding their growth and innovation further solidify their impact and potential in the market.
I agree.
So for you, the listener, take a moment to consider your own situation or the situation of your organization.
Okay.
Could the benefits we've explored today, those potential cost savings, the ability to get the most out of your own renewable energy generation,
Right.
the added peace of mind that comes with reliable backup power, could those apply to your specific needs?
Yeah. It's a question worth asking yourself.
We've seen how a diverse range of entities,
Right.
from logistics companies to housing authorities, are already realizing tangible benefits. This brings us to a final thought for you to consider.
Okay.
With the ever-increasing focus on energy efficiency,
Right.
the rapid growth in the adoption of renewable energy technologies, and the fundamental need for a more stable and resilient energy grid,
How might the widespread adoption of smart battery storage systems like those offered by Cactos reshape not just how individual businesses consume energy, but the entire energy landscape in the years to come?
It's a big question.
It's a huge question.
It really prompts us to think about how taking a more proactive and intelligent approach to energy management can pave the way for more sustainable and significantly more resilient operations on a much larger scale than we might currently imagine.
Food for thought.
It is.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Nordic Venture Show. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more stories of innovation from the Nordics.